on 13 plus acres off of Ford Ranch Road. I would expect that the decision could and should be voted May 25th, with construction potentially starting this summer. Then we have the future development waiting the Attorney General, which just passed town meeting a couple of weeks ago. Carberry Estate, which would be 54 townhouses on 49 acres. The Ice House development, which is a 12,500 square foot commercial building with up to, I believe it's 12 units in a second smaller building. Planning Board is looking to do a new sign bylaw. We've had several attempts. It seems this keeps coming several decades now that we keep going back and looking at the sign review process. We actually have the Planning Board, the Sign Review Committee, and the Building Commissioner coming next Thursday to have some more in-depth discussion. Some major projects not under the Planning Board umbrella, but under others. East Milton parking. Howard Sign Hudson still is under contract through December with the town and the state to complete the design, engineering, and development of construction documents for that project. The animal shelter. I'm handling the site issues for the selectmen on the property off the old landfill access road. That's wetland identification, survey issues, utility locations. I've been handling the day-to-day issues regarding the programming and the next step. Programming deals with the architect. The Animal Shelter Building Committee has been working on that programming with the architect. A draft has already been circulated. The committee met on a Saturday, put in 5 long hours of programming what to go into the building. The draft's already back. It was reviewed by the committee. The committee will vote next Tuesday to finalize that program. When that gets finalized, there'll be a sign-off by the town administrator, by the Animal League, and within a couple of weeks, we should have initial draft plans for what that building may look like. Under the Master Plan Implementation Committee, I put together a grant that for the Milton Village area. One that deals with the waterfront access, the second part to deal with the potential for mixed-use development in the Milton Village area. For it, we put up $10,000, MAPC gives us $30,000 worth of product. That's due to start next week. So it's coming fast. We would expect to have the gathering phase take place all during the summer. We expect to have some of the public process start beginning of September. If there's one thing that Master Plan and Planning Board learned, is that you don't gather the multitude of your information over the summer. So for as much as we would like to have product ready for an October town meeting, we know that that's not feasible. So we will hold those public hearings, the forums, in the beginning of September, so that we can, if there is a February town meeting, we could be ready. Otherwise, it will be the May town meeting. Planning Department's actually working with a few landowners in the East Milton Square area on future redevelopment plans. I would suggest to the public, stay tuned, because in early June there will be a call for public meetings by the owners, the developer, and their lawyers to have public hearings on what their future plans are. That'll start probably early June.
What specific, is there a specific location in the square you're referring to? A property?
I'd rather wait till they come out, but it's on both ends of the square. It starts on Adams Street, it goes to Granite Ave. It's a lot of the square.
It's positive. It's a positive impact, though. I just, so that without.
We have 2 of the major landowners in the square who are interested in, one, They are increasing what they own. They've been working on it. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at what the.
Right, I get that part, I get that
The
part.
the reason
Okay.
why I say it's a positive impact is I don't want people to speculate coming from here and guess what the heck is going on. Yeah, and I just want to ensure that the people who live in East Milton, the people who do business in East Milton, or who generally visit East Milton understand that this is something that, coming down the pike, that is a very positive project.
This
It's
is-
going to help the consumers and also the business owners within East Milton Square.
They're going to give them more commercial, mixed use, parking,
Right.
and all three of these are being addressed.
That'll make some people
on
excited
site.
without getting the social media folks, which we know can get all riled up over this stuff. Keep them focused on what good is going to happen.
But we are in the point of May that we really want to encourage people, watch in June, because these meetings will come. There will be many of those meetings during the summer. Environmental notification forms, we actually have a couple of, they're called ENFs. There are two different places in Milton have applied to MEPA, the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act. It's a plan that when you have an effect on public lands, we have one that is at the gas take station that Boston Gas is putting together. It's a inline service and testing center that starts there and goes all the way out to Commercial Point, which is the tanks out on the end of the Neponset River. The second part in Milton is actually on Cedar Road, which is on the border of Cunningham Park. And then it leaves Milton going up through the marshes, up beside the expressway, and goes out the river. I'm reviewing that one now. That one just came in today, so they're only 2 inches thick and fun to read. We'll make comments back. We, as a town, already had a presentation by Boston Gas in, it's National Grid, Boston Gas, and the people from Algonquin. We, as a town, already had the presentation where we know where they are working, we know what they're doing. It is environmental, so they're looking at rare species, they're looking at the vernal pools in the area. They have been to Concom, they're doing a historic study on it, and this environmental notification is the culmination of all those reports, so it's a bit of a chore to get through. The second one is an elevated device from a private home to appear on the river. That should be an easy one, no issues on that one. And then my very last piece is, since Tim Zerwinski left, went to the city of Boston, we have been interviewing to fill his seat. I'll make the announcement here that we have chosen an individual who we're going to send to the Personnel Board. We hope that it's Monday or Tuesday, at which point she'll have, I'm asking that she go to the meeting of the Planning Board next Thursday night, if she gets approved, and it's just to do a meet and greet. I think the town will be happy with the choice. She's young. She has not worked in the field very long. She has a BA from UMass in planning. She has a master's in planning from BU. She works for the 128 TMA. It's a Transit Management Authority up in the 128 area. She should hit the ground running and be very good.
That's great news. Maybe, Bill, at some point in time, I know she'll be very busy, but you could bring her in and introduce us to her, and we could let the public get to know her as well as another great asset.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Any questions, comments?
No, so I was involved in the first round of interviews. There were well over 30 applicants. We chose 6 to interview: myself, town planner, and AJ Polito. Interviewed 6 candidates. We brought them to.
Yeah.
we brought that to 3 finalists. One of the finalists Tuesday night informed Paige Eppolito that he was taking another position. And then I'd like to thank April Lemmer, who came in for 6 hours of her own time on Tuesday on Wednesday, to interview these final 2 candidates. Both were very, very qualified candidates. We certainly made the right choice. She's young, she's energetic, she's got the pedigree, and just very, you really like her when you get to meet her. She's very energetic and wants to learn and hit the ground running. So, great job by the group that interviewed. And again, I want to thank April Lamoureux for her time yesterday as a representative of the planning board.
Super.
Were you announcing her name yet, or are you holding off on that until after the personnel board?
I think we should wait till after the
Okay.
personnel
All right.
board and then make it official.
Great. Any other comments?
I don't have any tonight.
No, I have one question. Just ballpark, just like, what do you see the increase in tax revenue, say, just like one of the projects like Pius annually in the year? What do you see that bringing in? Like, in town meeting, they talked a lot about what they see both the Ice House and Carberry generating annually in new tax growth. What do you see, like, just say one of these projects bringing in?
I think you should ask these 2 guys
All right, okay.
behind me.
I'll wait till they get here then.
This is their expertise. Mine is to get them done. Theirs is to figure out what that number is.
Okay.
Yeah, back of the envelope stuff, I think if you take a look at the Pulte project, it's about $500,000, for anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000.
Just to that one project.
Just in that one project.
Great. All right, well, thank you, Bill.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Okay, item 8 on our agenda is the approval, or ratification of the special election override warrant. Our board met prior to town meeting.
Thanks.
We originally had decided on a different date, but through vetting the process with many people who were involved on the committee, and realizing that the day that we have chosen, June 20th, 2017, still being 3 days before school ends, would be suitable. So we have a motion in front of us.
I'll move that we ratify the warrant for the June 20th, 2017 special town election warrant.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing that there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 9 is the approval ratification of a one-day liquor license. St. Mary's of the Hills, by the way, has requested this one-day liquor license. It'll be ratified at the board's next meeting.
I'll move that we ratify a one-day liquor license for St. Mary of the Hills of 250 Brook Road on Saturday, May 13th, 2017, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for its spring gala.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to abstain on 10, only because I
Okay,
remember it.
we have an approval of a one-day liquor license, and this is, it's related to We Are Milton.
Okay. I will move that we approve a one-day liquor license for We Are Milton at Hutchinson's Field on Saturday, June 24th, 2017, from 3 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. for the Milton Music Fest and fireworks, and Sunday, June 25th, 2017, from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. for Celtic Sunday.
Any discussion?
None.
Okay, looking forward to another great weekend of festivities. People come from all over, which is great. So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 11, approval of the Milton Foundation for Education Teachers of the Year. I know every year we look forward to recognizing the people that do great work in our classrooms for our kids. And, this year's no different. When you hear the names, you're not going to be surprised. These are people who give a lot of their time to make our kids, really develop and matriculate through the school system. So we have a motion in front of us.
I'll move that we approve and sign letters of congratulation to the following teachers who are recipients of the 2017 Milton Foundation for Education Teacher of the Year Awards: Kathleen Kelly, Michael Clary, Veronica McManus, Kerry Moore O'Leary, Colleen Martin, Shayla Brethnack, and Bernadette Butler.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
No.
No. Excited to actually see them next week. I'll be attending. I don't know if
I'm
anybody
going to go
else.
as well.
I'm
I'm
not
Good.
able to,
That'll
unfortunately.
be great. Okay, we look forward to it. So, seeing how there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 12, on our agenda item is discussion, the review of the 2017 annual town meeting, which was a long one, but we got a lot done. I think that everybody was happy with the result. There was a lot of good debate every year, and that's what makes our town meeting so special and so worthwhile, that we have so many good people who care so much on that floor, that bring their opinions up and their facts, and I think that we got a good result. Any thoughts, Katie or Richard?
Go ahead, Katie, you go first.
Just a couple of things I thought we should know, because we've already started getting inquiries from people about the Traffic Commission and what their interest in serving on that. So I was talking to Mike the other day, and we just wanted to point out to people that whether it's the Traffic Commission, which is an amendment to an existing bylaw, or some new bylaws like the Ice House or the Carberry Estate, all of those have to go through a process where they go to the Attorney General's office for review, and usually it's about a month before they go to the Attorney General's office. Then there's a 60-day period, and then they have to get published in the local newspaper. So for the people who are already sending us their applications, we'll keep them on file, and we're happy that people are already interested in it, but it'll be probably a few months before we're able to actually make some of those changes.
Until approved, right?
Until it's approved. But I agree with you, David. We got a lot. I think it was a productive and successful meeting. There were a lot of initiatives that the planning board had some big initiatives, but we had some initiatives too, with the military compensation article, with the speed limit authorization, with the moratorium on the recreational marijuana. That was actually the planning board also. But it's, and with the two budgets passing, and we'll have the election on June 20th for the override budget. The stormwater utility raised a lot of discussion, but I think eventually people realized that the right forum for a lot of those issues really wasn't a discussion at town meeting, but a discussion when we set the rates.
Absolutely right, and I think that it's duly noted that we need to do a better job to fine-tune this. But we knew that going in. I think that we tried to make it as equitable as possible, and we weren't going to make everybody happy, but we've learned a few things. Some of the things that we want to address are credits. And I think that we've got some residents who have an awful lot of experience in this who want to step up as well. I think that generally makes things work a little bit smoother when you have the collaboration of some of the people who have a lot of experience doing this. And I think we want to make this a fair, transparent, open process, and one that works for all people across town and the nonprofits as well. I think that's the key. Is it's to make it fair and equitable at the end of the day.
I agree, and I think that especially now when we're facing an override, and it has been 8 years since we've had an override, and a lot of people don't remember it, they don't really understand it. And one of the things I'd really emphasize to people who live here in town, if you have questions, watch town meeting and watch the people who bring up questions and watch the issues that they tackle and work their way through. I mean, if you look at just the two issues, both Ice House and Carberry, they both went through 2/3 majority on a voice vote.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
it
was
easily could have gone
surprising
no
that there
standing
wasn't
roll call, no. And I think that says a lot about the people who are town meeting members and who do sit in these boards and committees. They do care and they do put a lot of time. And like you just talked about how much time April put in just on one position last week. And I think that's really the message that we have to really push, especially going into this override on the 20th, is to make people understand just how vital this community is and how much all of us working together will keep it the way it is, and people will get what they expect from it.
So it's well noted. I think that, like, just to follow up on that, those town meeting members put an awful lot of time, as you said, Richard, and they educate themselves. And when they come out and, kind of move to be for something, it's because they've vetted the issues throughout the precinct that they're in. They know the issues town-wide from talking to other precinct members. And I think it's really an opportunity for other people to get to learn what the real issue is. So that's a good point.
And before we know it, we're going to be looking at the deadline for the
We said
fall
this the
warrant
other night,
closing.
yeah.
So I think it's usually the end of, or Emily probably remembers sometime in August that we have to close the warrant and get all the articles to the warrant committee. So summer tends to fly by, as we know. And I did see that the planning board is already talking about some of the articles they wanted to put forward for October. The one that we left on the table last spring was the noise article that Tom Hurley had been working on with Joe
That's a big one that
Prodek.
we need to really work hard on. I think that a lot of people are affected by that, and we need to get it right.
Yeah, so I think we should think about maybe submitting that, and then over the next couple of weeks, think about what we might want to move forward and bring to an October meeting, what might be ready to go, and what we can do in the summer.
Okay.
Sounds great. Anything else on that?
My first town meeting, obviously.
Yeah.
It was quite an experience. I think Bob Hist did a remarkable job. I mean, 5 nights, some very hot button issues. We heard all the traffic issues the first couple of nights, the zoning articles, all the budget issues. 52 articles in 5 nights. I think Bob should be commended.
No question.
He ran a great town meeting. And just the democracy of it at that time when people get up to speak, and to Katie's point, the people that are reaching out afterwards. And your point, David, that the subject matter experts that live in the town that want to volunteer their time to help, further some of the issues that were brought up at town meeting floor is just it's impressive. And to your point, Richard, it's what makes this town
It is.
so desirable. It was a very, very impressive experience for me. So.
I think you're gonna have a few more.
That's for sure.
5 nights.
Let's hope not.
3?
But it got done, and it got done well. Okay, so we're on to item number 13 on our agenda, boards and committees appointment. We have the Bicycle Advisory Committee.
I'll move that we reappoint Eric Ask of 10 Stoddard Lane, Michael Blackwell of 357 Blue Hills Parkway, Thomas Bouchot of 8 Cantwell Road, Lee Toma of 58 Aberdeen Road, and Joseph Sloan of 55 Concord Avenue to the Bicycle Advisory Committee to serve through May 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 14, boards and committees appointment, Master Plan Implementation Committee. Mike Balfe has resigned for the Master Plan Implementation Committee, so we have to appoint another member. At this point, the Planning Board has voted to appoint Tabor Keeley, who is a former member of the Master Plan Committee. And this committee is jointly appointed by the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board. So we have a motion in front of us.
I'll move that we appoint Tabor Keeley of 674 Brush Hill Road to the Master Plan Implementation Committee to serve through July of 2018.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to thank Michael Balfe. I'm our representative on the Master Plan Committee, Implementation Committee, and Michael has spent the last year and a half working on this issue, and he's also been active with the Council on Aging Board. But, so thank you to Michael for his service. We had a meeting Monday night. We thanked Michael, and Tabor was already at the meeting to be there to observe without being able to vote. But
Michael's been a longtime friend of mine, and I want to thank him as well. Obviously, like you said, committed to the Council on Aging and the Master Plan. It's time to enjoy retirement.
It is. I'm sure he'll enjoy it. And I think Tabor Keeley, having already been on the Master Plan Committee itself, will bring a lot to in his involvement with the MAPC, which we'll reappoint him to next. I think he'll bring a lot to the committee.
Good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have item 15 is another committee appointment from the MAPC, which is the Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
So I'll move that we appoint Tabor Keeley of 674 Brush Hill Road to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council to serve through May 2020.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just one question. So what is she, we each have a rep to MAPC, is that what it is?
Yes.
Just
We do.
one? Just one? Okay,
We do.
that was it.
They handle many communities, but Milton's one of Tabor's. Yep.
That's great. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Administrator's Report.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Busy week. We had our May department head meeting in this room on Monday. Pretty vibrant discussion. Most of the viewers at home don't know because we announced it before the first night of town meeting, but the town has hired Colette Phillips Communications as a consultant for some public relations work for us. Monday I was able to bring Tom Newtley from their group in here to meet all the department heads to get a breath of what's going on in their departments and see what makes everyone works and some upcoming issues. And it was very good. Everyone left with Tom's card, and I was in contact with him yesterday and today, and he talked about some of the stuff that he's working on with the group. So very productive session. Tom actually sat in for the first night of town meeting. I believe he grew up in Needham. It's been a while since he's been to a town meeting, and I think he agrees with me that first night was like all 5 nights. Very good discussion. So just want to welcome Colette Phillips Communications to the town.
Could I add something to that? Because I think it's important, I think this is important for the residents to understand as well, that previously we had Dave Wedge from Northwind who was doing this work for us, and Dave had a lot of business. You know, he was very busy writing books as well, and his career has really taken off. While he's still involved doing public relations, he's been very involved, or more involved, writing books such as Boston Strong, which is a bestseller, and a future book on Deflategate by the NFL Players Association. So, so we felt it was necessary to continue to look for, and we did locate someone who is one of the best professionals that you'll ever meet statewide. I think she's been involved with numerous campaigns, whether it be Liz Warren and the Kennedys, and also a former head of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Public Relations. She's just very well known. She's got an incredible group, but what it gives us the ability to do is to get information out that is real, that is true, as opposed to some of the information that is out there, which is guesswork, and that really needs clarity. I think this allows us to serve the public, I think, and serve the residents the way they should be served in terms of getting up-to-the-minute information. I think that what a lot of people, and I'll be brief, a lot of people will realize is that this new town administrator, Mike Denny, brings with him a real strong sense of community engagement, and also the ability to serve constituents. And you can't just do that without having the ability to disseminate information. And when you're a small town or a medium-sized town like us and not a city, you can't hire a communications director. It's just too costly. And by bringing in someone like this, we're able to leverage really the highest and the best without having to pay benefits or a pension. And it's kind of the direction that you'll see a lot of towns will follow us. I think Canton right now is asking their residents to go out and come and to learn more about government and get messages out via communications like this. And you know, I know Quincy's gone that direction. Boston obviously does it well, but I think you'll see a lot of towns like Milton, successful towns, going this direction in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that we're ahead of the curve on this. I think it's going to serve our residents well, and especially help make a stronger administration that Mike is building right now. So.
Good. Yeah, so that's great news. Just some of the other tidbits that were talked about on Monday. I want to thank Caroline Kinsella and the Board of Health herself. Denny Swenson, the new member of the Planning Board, and Judy Jacobson, the Executive Director of the Friends of Blue Hills, finished their tour of all the fourth grade classes in town to talk about Lyme disease. My daughter Kate, who was a fourth grader at Cunningham, had it a couple of years ago. If you don't know what it is, you don't know what it is. So the education that they finished up on today at Tucker School gives our young children in the town not only a grasp of what it is, but you know how you can contract it and what you need to do. And Kate was home at the house tonight talking to her younger sisters about it. And, so I want to thank the three of them, Caroline Kinsella, Judy Jacobson, and Denny Swenson, for that effort again this year. Parks, obviously we got a lot of rain. I was down at Andrews Field last Thursday, and I said it at Monday's department head meeting. That field, you could not have fit another person on it. There was Irish football going on the far side, girls lacrosse in the middle field, baseball, basketball court, tennis court, batting cages, softball down the other field. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see everybody out and about using the field. So that the grass, they're getting to cutting all the grass and making sure that the barrels are emptied and everything. So it's that time of year for them. Would also like to commend them. The Shields Park Playground opened late last week. Very successful. Dave Perdio says they do have a checklist of things that they have to finish up on, but a very successful opening. I went by there today, and it was although it was warm, it was packed. Yeah, so that's great to see. Council on Aging, they're going to do their paper shredding in the first week of September. It was a big hit last year. They haven't gotten the date yet, but Mike Morrissey's going to support that effort this year. It is a costly effort, so you look to someone to help fund that. So I believe Mike Morrissey's office is going to fund that. A little bit of bad news: the Community Compact IT grant that we filed an application for, we were not one of the 47 communities that split $2 million this year. So I had hoped to take that money and run with a 311 system for the town. The report came out yesterday, and unfortunately Milton wasn't on the list, but we'll make a bigger and better push for it to get the 2018 money and get something going. Bill talked about the assistant town planner. Hope to get her in here very quickly and get the ball rolling and help Bill and all the good things going in town. And lastly, I'd just like to mention that Daniel Hacker, who has been with the libraries for 40 years, his last day is on Saturday. He started in the East Milton Square branch in March of 1977. So Saturday is his last day. Director Adam Check told me that they're going to have a coffee hour for him in July. They haven't put the date together yet, but I mean,
That's great. Let us
40
know.
years,
That's
yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah, so I just
Unbelievable.
want to wish him best of luck and thank him for 40 years. If you've been in any of the libraries in this town, I'm sure you'll recognize him. So best of luck to Mr. Hacker.
My mother loves him.
There you go. Yeah, well,
It's a long
most of the
time to
people who are
serve.
from Milton, long time, will definitely know, and then they're going to miss him as well.
I
So.
just want to make a point, go back to what you talked about with Colette and the PR firm, and one of the things that people talk about a lot here in this town, and you don't realize this unless you go to their website and read about them, is you've brought in an organization that is very diverse. And it's a agency that will be reflective of this community and all the things in it, and all the people who live here. And sometimes people don't realize that goes on, and I give you a lot of credit because that was the first thing that jumped out at me when I read about them.
Good.
And I think that's a very good thing for this town.
Excellent.
I do too, and I think that people are going to realize that their ability to disseminate information to really showcase Milton is going to be beneficial to us long term with their connections. And they're very reputable and diverse, as you said, Richard. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, the chairman's report. I've got a couple items. Number one on the list, which is of huge importance, is the Milton Memorial Day events. It marks 2 centennials. Okay, I'm going to read from this because I just don't want to miss anything. Barbara Martin from our office has done a tremendous job, and you know, she's been working regularly with Frank Stout and also Kevin Cook from our Veterans Department, Veteran Affairs. Can't say enough about the amount of time and work that they put into it. So this year, the Memorial Day observance will have 2 centennial themes. The town will commemorate the 100th anniversary of the entry of the United States into World War I, and also mark the 100th anniversary of the birth of President John F. Kennedy, a Navy war hero in World War II. The services will begin at the town green at 9:30 a.m. on Monday, May 29th, with the raising of the flag and placement of a wreath at the World War I memorial adjacent to the town green by members of the American Legion Post 114. The Memorial Day events are under the joint leadership of Milton's Director of Veteran Services, Kevin Cook, Al Williams, the Veteran Services Officer, and Frank Stout of the American Legion Post 114. Dr. James R. Holmes, Ph.D. and U.S. Navy veteran from the Newport War College, will be this year's featured speaker. Dr. Holmes is a professor of strategy and the 2016 recipient of the Navy Meritorious Civilian Service Medal. A former U.S. Navy surface warfare officer and combat veteran of the First Gulf War, Dr. Holmes served as weapons and engineering officer on the battleship Wisconsin. He was the last gunnery officer to fire a battleship's big guns in anger. Also on May 29th, it's the 100th anniversary of President Kennedy's birth. U.S. Navy officer Kennedy commanded a PT boat in the Pacific World War II. He heroically rescued members of his crew after the boat was hit hard by a Japanese destroyer. Joining Dr. Holmes in highlighting this year's naval theme will be the color guard from the U.S. Constitution, which will march in the annual parade. So we have a big list of speakers. We would love it if we could get as many families with children out to enjoy the day. I was speaking to my mother later this afternoon, or early this afternoon, I should say, and she told me that she used to push me in a stroller every year. They'd come up to the town green and walk down to the cemetery. So we hope that a lot of the young families would participate in this and make it an annual event, you know, to memorialize all that have served. What's significant about this event is that Milton had a population of about 8,000, roughly 8,600 people, and over 664 people from our town chose to get up and serve in World War I. That's an enormous percentage of people, and we owe them a great debt of gratitude for them doing so for us to ensure freedom for us. So it's going to be an exciting day. I hope that many people can join us, and I look forward to seeing everybody there. Also, on May 25th at 9:30 a.m., the Senior Center, I'm going to be speaking at the Senior Center, giving an update of current events that this board, what we're up to, what we plan on accomplishing, and obviously fielding questions. So I'm really looking forward. I'm actually going in place of the Town Administrator, Michael Dennehy, who's going to actually be out of town. So he gave me this great opportunity to go in and say hello to a lot of old friends, and which I'm looking forward to. So I want to thank Mary Ann Sullivan, the Director of the Council on Aging, for putting this together. She's done a great job over there lately in coordinating a lot of resources and opportunities for seniors and beyond. The place is thriving, and looking forward to catching up with a lot of people. Another thing on the list is the pilot program. I want to make it noted, this is big for us. We are taking this really serious because we understand, that we're asking for more and more from residents out there. This is an opportunity for us to create great partnerships with our 3 nonprofits in town. Just today we got word that there's going to be a bill filed by the House of Representatives, which is, I forget the bill number, but they're going to be looking to create an opportunity for towns and cities to leverage more funding. Mike, do you want to speak to that, just since we
Sure, just
talked about it
very
late in the
briefly,
day?
yeah, I believe it's House Bill number 3526. It was filed last year. They reformulated it. I think the reason it didn't gain the support last year was a lot of the smaller nonprofits. They thought that this kind of put them in a box and might put some of them out of business. So they redefined the bill. The representative out of Lowell, I picked up on it. John Keller did a piece on WBZ the other night about it. I think it's picking up some momentum up at the State House. So we'll be watching that. And to David's point, the pilot committee is starting to move forward. I know Mike Zulis was.
We just added Mike Zulis to the committee. A lot of good background in negotiating as well, and brings a lot of good strengths to our committee. We will be looking for another committee member soon, but we will be meeting in June, and we plan on meeting regularly from then on out to follow the great work that Dimitri Petillon and his whole crew that headed the pilot program and the policies did before us. So we want to extend our thanks once again to them, and we'll keep you updated at each meeting from here on out. And that's what I have. Anybody else have any updates?
Yes, I just wanted to mention, I went to the Milton Reflecting play last night, which is the play about 5 towns named Milton. I'll forget them all, but North Carolina, Wisconsin, I think Oregon. I forget where the other one was.
Georgia?
Was it
You want
Georgia?
Georgia in there?
Probably was Georgia. And we're the fifth one. We're actually the biggest town of Milton that they've been going to. It's the culmination of 3 or 4 years of their interviewing a lot of people, having a lot of meetings throughout town. It's a play that's it's fun, it's creative, but it's also very thought-provoking, and it makes you think about a lot of cultural issues, about a lot of diversity issues, and it's the question that it seeks to address is, what does it mean to be an American? So it was a little bit interactive. The audience didn't have to participate, but they do hand some objects to the audience during the course of the play, and they pass them around. But it's airing this weekend. Tonight was another night, although it's probably ending just about now. But Saturday and Sunday, May 20th and May 21st, it's 2:30 p.m. at the Milton Library. And there's a number that you can call to get tickets. The tickets are free, which is a good thing, but their space is so limited. It's in the Keys room down in the lower level. They want people to call to reserve a space. So the number is 800-946-6443. 800-946-6443. So anyone who's watching can call that number, reserve a space for Saturday or Sunday. It's very well. It's time well spent, and it's worth it to go see it. And so Katie Pearl, whom we've all met many times during the last couple of years, and the Pearl Demore Theater Group from New York, they really did a nice job, and it was well attended last night. A lot of the clergy members were in attendance last night, and Representative Bill Driscoll was there last night. So it's over the next, I'm sure tonight they had a good crowd as well, but they still have seats available for the weekend. So I would encourage anyone who's looking for something to do this weekend to get a ticket and go over and see this play. It's worth the time.
Great. Any other reports?
That's all I
I
have
just have
for
two
tonight.
things. One is I did attend the Mass PAC meeting at the Parkway Methodist the other night, and if you've followed this at all, and clearly from my previous job as police chief, this was on our radar, rising very highly in the past 3 years, is that the opioid issue is really skyrocketing and particularly in the last 3 years. And one of the things, there was a gentleman named Skinnell who is from Bridgewater. He's an attorney whose son overdosed last year, graduate of Worcester State. Sad case. He was only actually on heroin for 18 months, and of that, it was only 14 months. 4 of those months he was sober. And we are not immune to this as a community. You know, we're not immune to that. And I think that we're going to have to continue to work with them. And I think as leaders of the community, we need to show leadership and really bring our youth together and all the leadership in our community, like whether it's police, fire, mass. I talked to Laurie Stillman at Dead Millborough a little bit before I left, because it's not just those who are addicted to heroin now, it's the risk to our kids. Like this board, before I got here, just had to deal with the situation of a marijuana, coming here. And that's not gonna go away. We voted for recreational marijuana, and I don't think people realize how big this is going to be, and marijuana is a gateway drug. And one of the things that this gentleman talked about with his son is that it went from marijuana, he tried opiates with it, and just one kid, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, out of college, and he snorted heroin, and that was it, altered his whole life. And for me, I've lived through this so many times with parents in this town, and I think that we need to do everything we can to collaborate with them and give them the leadership and support they need to. And then just the final thing is, and I mentioned this earlier too tonight, is Ronnie Millar, who's the executive director of the Irish Immigration Center. And we are a country of immigrants, and there is a lot of fear out there right now. A lot of it, truthfully, I believe a lot of it's unwarranted, sanctuary cities. And 33 years in policing, I wouldn't even know how to find an ICE agent. I wouldn't even know how to call them. Not computer, but people are afraid. And Ronnie, with Kevin Martin, who's a local resident, deacon from St. Mary's of the Hills, he sponsored it, and they had about 100 people there. And they just wanted to have the talk about immigration and what some people are facing in this town. And our town is made up of immigrants. And I wouldn't be here if my grandparents immigrated here. That's how I wound up here. And I think that we need to continue to have that in that discussion. And there were people who spoke from Haiti, Zimbabwe, everywhere, and it's pretty remarkable. And I really want to thank Ronnie for inviting me, and thank Kevin for hosting that and bringing all those people there. So those are just, I know I'm new, but those are the two things that I did this week.
That's great. Those are good updates. Thank you. And lastly, before we get to the next item, I just want to, again welcome you, Richard, to the first televised meeting.
Almost wasn't.
Almost wasn't. You're right.
It's all right though. I'm okay without the
You're
TV.
right.
The gremlin.
It was. We'll call it a rain delay.
Yeah.
But congratulate and thank you,
Yes,
Katie, for your leadership last year as chair. You did a great job. Obviously, we got a lot done, and I think that we're looking forward to getting a lot accomplished this year. So thanks again.
Thank you.
And I thank you both for taking me through town meeting and everything that you did last week. I do.
It's our pleasure. I mean, we've all been there. It's not easy when you first come in. It's trial by error. So we've all been there. So we look forward to working with you, Richard.
Thank you as well.
So future agenda items. I skipped citizens speak response and seeing how we didn't have any citizens speak. But future agenda items.
The only thing I wanted to mention is we had previously talked with the new president of BID Hospital Milton about coming into a meeting, and I think we should still try to get him on an agenda to spend 10 or 15 minutes, just get a chance to have him on television.
Why don't we look at one of the the next two?
Arrange that.
That would be great.
Maybe invite the chair of the board also to see if he could join us.
I think that would be great news.
Want to mention still on the 23rd? Want to make mention?
Oh yeah. That's so this is just an update. So on the 23rd. Milton for All, which is a group that is comprised of creating advocacy in favor of the override. They're going to be meeting at Steel and Rye from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. We would love for anyone to come out. It's going to be a great question and answer. I think that a lot of people don't realize really what's behind the nuts and the bolts of the budget and what is affected should this override not go through. Like Richard said earlier, this town has not had an override in 8 years. We don't do these every year. We do them when they're needed. And you know what? And it's commendable to the department heads that work in this town that do more with less over many, many years, and to provide the services that they do. so that we don't have to do that, and it's greatly needed. This board is in full support of it. I will be there. I think my colleagues are looking forward to being there as well. We look forward to talking about all the little details that go into this and why it's so important. So again, that's at Steel and Rye. That's on Tuesday, May 23rd from 7 to 11 p.m. Bring friends, bring anyone you know. I think it's going to be a very good crowd. And you get to meet some new people too. I think that's part of what makes Milton great too, is forming relationships and doing it in a social atmosphere will be very positive.
And I think if people understand, that there isn't like a magic wand, like, oh, let's just do it, let's just have an override. There's a true need this. And if you were at town meeting and you listened, you understood it. And it's easy when someone dials, like I told you of an incident I was at this week where someone collapsed, and just like that, they're there. It's our schools, it's our education. You talked about those 2 kids today and that got that award.
Examples.
We are a community that's built brick by brick by brick. Begins in this building, it goes into the fire, the police, the libraries, the parks, everywhere else. And to maintain the foundation of those bricks, it takes all of us. And if, like you said, if it doesn't pass, we put a big crack in that foundation. Maybe we put a hole in it. That would be almost impossible to fix. And while no one wants it, I understand, especially being a department head in a public safety department for 10 years, is that every so often in this community you need that to maintain the essential core values that people have, the core services that exist here. And those department heads that you referred to, David, have been living with this dollar-to-dollar, level service, level dollar. I mean, warrant committees, as you know, can exercise after exercise to get us to a year to a year. So we made it 8 years. And hopefully with like the ice house, the proposals that are being put out here and the potential future tax revenue that can come here, maybe it'll be 18 years before we have to have another. I mean, we don't want to be doing this every year, but this is the year where we have to do it, and it's going to take a collective effort from all of us. And I'm glad that all of us are going to this, because I think this committee is going to need our help and our leadership with this, trying to make this happen.
Completely agree. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move now that we enter executive session, strategy with respect to non-union personnel, the Superior Officers Union, and also in the approval of minutes. So I'm going to propose to enter into executive session to discuss strategy regarding union personnel, Superior Officers Union, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, Winter Valley Residents, Inc. versus Milton Appellate Tax Board docket number F330884, and Unquity House Corporation versus Milton Appellate Tax Board docket number F330885, to approve executive session meeting minutes, believing that having such discussions in open session would have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board, and to return to open session for the purpose of adjournment.
Second.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Burns, yes. We're now in executive session.